Forza Horizon 6 has a perfect map, surrounded by terrible game design, dog AI, and outdated mechanics. It's definitely a strange feeling when something is so close to perfect, yet so profoundly flawed. This comment from Reddit perfectly encapsulates how much of the community feels about Forza Horizon 6. The game has been out for about a month now, and with 6 million players and counting, it's safe to say it's been both a huge critical and commercial success, but that doesn't mean it's without its issues, far from it. Scratch below the surface and there's a laundry list of bugs, glitches, rough edges, questionable design decisions and more that have put a damper on the experience for myself and many of you folks too. As a fan of the Forza franchise and of racing games as a whole, I'd love to see Playground Games address these problems and make the game the best it can be. So with that said, I'm going to dive into my thoughts on what needs to be fixed, changed, added and improved, the suggestions that you guys left in the comments of my previous video, and areas to address from the wider community that can hopefully take Forza Horizon 6 to the next level. Before we get into it, be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified of future videos like this one. And if you want to catch me live on Twitch, drop me a follow at twitch.tv/Bafo663. Let's dive in. The biggest issue many have with Forza Horizon 6 right now is the AI. Now yes, it is more racy, it is more aggressive, and it does give you more of a challenge, but it's also horrendously unfair, often inept, and bewilderingly inconsistent. In every Horizon game so far, I've used either unbeatable or pro difficulty. The AI has always cheated a little bit at the highest difficulties, with better top speed, acceleration and grip, but in Horizon 6 these cheats are absolutely absurd. I mentioned it in my 100-hour review, but it's worth saying again. The AI in the Colossus is completely and utterly broken. It took me many attempts to beat it using different cars and tunes, and even then I had to wall ride the slow corners to stand any chance of winning. It's not just the Colossus either, the AI is crazy strong in other events too, especially in cross-country races. They seem to have endless grip in slow corners, and they aren't slowed down nearly as much as you are after jumps. Okay, the AI cheats too much at higher difficulty, so let's turn it down. Great, we can now compete, but now we have a different problem, the AI's inconsistency. Now, traditionally, Forza Horizon's AI has always been stronger in road races than dirt or cross-country, so you might have adjusted the difficulty for the odd race here or there. In Horizon 6 though, it's all over the place. Let's say we're playing in Unbeatable. One race is a cakewalk, the next is a struggle. Then it's too easy, then back to too hard again. Okay, let's drop down to Pro. But then every race is way too easy and the game just isn't as fun anymore. Tackling races in different performance classes has a similar problem. If you take an S1 car or higher into a cross-country event, the AI completely falls apart, missing checkpoints, overshooting corners and crashing all over the place. There doesn't seem to be a difficulty sweet spot for any race in the game, standard or custom. You've either got AI that races like Prime Senna, or AI that sits there like rush hour traffic or crashes at every turn. It's either far too difficult or far too easy, with nothing in between. Now, I much prefer AI that provides a challenge than AI that's too easy to beat, and I'm fine with races getting tougher as the game goes on, but this is ridiculous. The Series 2 update has gone some way towards fixing the AI, but there's still a long way to go. First things first, the artificial cheats need to be turned way down. Not removed entirely, I don't have a problem with Horizon 6 being a little tougher than Horizon 5, but it should be barely noticeable, not super obvious. Next, address the consistency. Yes, this could mean painstaking circuit by circuit and class by class adjustments, but it will make the overall gameplay experience far more enjoyable and less frustrating. Away from tuning the AI, how about we borrow a concept from Forza Motorsport, the ability to choose our grid position. Start towards the front and you'll earn less credits for the win, but start further back and you'll earn more. It's as simple as that. This would also allow us to fine-tune the difficulty. A tough race might be more winnable starting at the front, whilst an easy race becomes more of a challenge if we start at the back. However they tackle it, it's clear that the AI of Forza Horizon 6 needs some serious work, but it's far from the only area that needs to be looked at. One major complaint has been the number of dirt and cross-country events compared to road races. Now, I'll confess, as a completionist, I often completed all the races available to me before progressing to the next wristband event. That gave the progression a totally different feel to the average playthrough, but once you take a deeper look, the problem becomes obvious. Excluding endgame events, there's 19 road races, 14 street races, and 5 toge events, totaling 38 events on tarmac roads. In comparison, there's 19 dirt races and 18 cross-country events, totaling 37 events off-road. What's the problem then? Well, street races and toge events don't count towards your wristband progression. This means that, in terms of content you actually need to do to advance, there's 19 events on roads and 37 off-road. That's almost double the amount of off-road to on-road events, and considering the quality of the roads is generally pretty good, I'm struggling to understand why Playground Games structured the progression in this way. Now yes, you don't need to do all of these events to get your gold wristband, but it still feels like this should be a much more even split, or perhaps even angled more towards the road racing side. The variety in these events could be better too. Now, a lot of races are limited to specific car classes and car types the first time around, for example a B-Class Super Hot Hatch road race, but I feel they could go further. How about a one-make event, a 3-race championship for K-cars? Hell, we're in Japan, what about a 90s JDM championship? Whilst it's nice to have class-limited races back once again, they could have gone a lot further, and as the PI of your opponents is based around the car you choose, upgrades once again have far less meaning and impact. Once you've got your gold wristband and completed the endgame races, there isn't much single player content for you to do. Yes, there's the journal, badges and the festival playlist, but the first two are one and done grinds, and the third takes about 2 to 3 hours a week. The game is crying out for more post-endgame content. How about some R-Class and X-Class championships, tougher challenges like getting 3 stars in PR events with a class or car restriction, longer races such as 10-lap circuit events, or a multi-lap Goliath. There's a dire need for us to have meaningful long-term goals to work towards, ideally an exclusive car, but even something like a rare badge or the ability to spawn at time attack circuits would suffice. Speaking of time attacks, I've enjoyed lapping these circuits again and again, but there's one open world circuit that's missing, Shimanoyama. For the life of me, I can't figure out why this is. Yes, it's ostensibly a drift circuit, but as it's often used for circuit racing in multiplayer, it seems like a slam dunk choice for time attack too. Whilst we're on the topic of time attacks, let's talk about Horizon Rush. Prior to launch, level design director Tom Dillows said that one of the big driving factors behind Horizon Rush was that players would be able to enjoy them over and over again. Right now, that simply isn't the case. Like showcase events, you play them once and then never touch them again unless the festival playlist makes you, and that's exactly what they were trying to avoid. The core problem is that they're nowhere near as easily repeatable as time attack circuits. There's several loading screens between the end of one Horizon Rush and the start of another, and I'm really not sure how they solve this. One thing they do well is how they display sector times in the top left of the screen, and I really hope they add this to time attacks too. It's clear that there's a lot more they could do with the single player experience, and for multiplayer there's just as much to look at too. The biggest problem with multiplayer right now are the rammers. Now yes, this is the nature of multiplayer racing, and there's nothing we can do to stop people driving dirty to begin with, but there should be more we can do to stop them, other than reports, retaliation, or queuing for a fresh lobby. Why not introduce a Counter-Strike style lobby kick system, where players can vote to remove dirty drivers? If a player clearly drives into another player on a straight, why not give them a slowdown penalty? If Playground Games have the data to track rammers, how about queuing them up with other troublesome drivers rather than the general player base? Beyond rammers, there's one multiplayer feature many are crying out for: ranked racing. Now, design director Torben Ellert stated prior to release that what's available on launch is a step towards them taking another swing at a proper ranked mode. So let's hope we'll see ranked play get added to Forza Horizon 6 in future, especially now that Forza Motorsport is no longer being actively developed. But he also asked for feedback on how to make it work, so here it goes. Both Horizon Racing and Spec Racing should get a ranked equivalent. In these modes, you start off racing in C-Class cars and can work your way up into quicker machinery based on your results and how clean you drive. There should be an ELO-based driver rating based on your race results, and a safety rating system that unlocks higher classes of vehicles to drive if you race clean, or that limits you to lower classes if you drive dirty. Players should be able to queue for particular classes or types of racing at any time, such as S1 Road or A-Class Dirt, and at the end of each season, your driver rating and safety rating will translate to end-of-season rewards, such as cars, credits, badges or wheel spins, with bigger prizes for those at the very top. This is just a basic outline, but I think a basic ranked system along these lines, taking inspiration from what Turn 10 have already done with Forza Motorsport and adding in ideas from the likes of iRacing and elsewhere, would make the multiplayer experience much more meaningful, and perhaps even tempt those that usually stick with single player to give multiplayer another go. Some of these ideas should make it to our current casual multiplayer modes too, such as the ability to queue specifically for road, dirt or specific classes of racing, rather than Horizon Racing or Spec Racing as a whole. On the Spec Racing front, there's already some cars in the pool that are fantastic for close racing, such as the MX-5 Cup car and the Renault Megane, but it'd be great to see more cars and tracks added into the rotation as well. There needs to be a more meaningful reason to stick with these races too, more than just the enjoyment of the racing itself or the badges for completing 250 of each event. Rather than leaderboards that purely track your race wins, they should track your percentage of race wins and championship wins compared to your total number of events entered, with the best drivers receiving rewards such as credits, wheel spins, badges or more. One of the biggest omissions on release is the absence of playground game modes such as King, Infected and Flag Rush. Now again, Torben said prior to release that bringing them back would be a by the numbers thing, but I don't know. To me, these modes are a core part of the Horizon experience, and it doesn't quite feel the same without them. Even without changes, I hope they make a return, but since they are looking for ideas, how about having pickups on the map that temporarily boost your car performance or grant you other effects for King and Infected, or having an equivalent of the Chase Breaker in Hide and Seek for Flag Rush. On the flip side, Torben has confirmed that they'd like to reintroduce clubs to the game as soon as they can, and that could add some much needed spice to the multiplayer experience. Think club leaderboards for Horizon play modes, or even club leaderboards for completing single player events too. A few quickfire items worth noting. A simple ready check system for convoys would be fantastic. Loading times can be quite long if one player in a convoy has issues. The ability to more easily leave a championship between races is sorely needed. Adding which race of the championship we're at on the results screen would be great. Ghosting needs better consistency. Traction control after a crash needs a review. Proper private lobbies should be a bare minimum. And yes, I do think all-wheel drive and rear-wheel drive drift leaderboards should be split. Before we move on, here's a left field idea. How about we expand on the idea of stunt parties and open world convoys with a world tour mode? Each round, players race from location to location on the world map, like in Eliminator style races, racking up points based on who gets to each location first. After a set amount of rounds, we get a final leaderboard and dish out credit and XP rewards. Since Eliminator races are one of the only times in the game we currently drive on the highways, outside of PR stunts, stunt parties and the Colossus, not only would it add a novel new multiplayer mode, but we'd be driving more of the map on a more regular basis too. Speaking of the open world, that isn't without its issues either. My biggest gripe with the open world is with the seasons, and more specifically how little they actually change anything. The only real changes are graphical, with no meaningful impact on the weather, the driving experience or anything else. Spring is by far the best looking season, so let's take that as the baseline. For summer, why not add heat hazes from the humidity, or the torrential downpours and thunderstorms of Japan's infamous rainy season? For autumn, how about heavy fog and blustery winds, with fallen leaves blowing across the roads? For winter, what about raging blizzards, deeper snowdrifts and more frozen bodies of water, with seasonal events that take place on these patches of ice? There's a real need for more extreme weather types on all sides of the spectrum: hot, cold, rain, wind and more. And by making certain types of extreme weather seasonal, that would really help to make each season feel a lot more unique. With that said, there's little reason to add more extreme weather if we're not driving in the open world, and right now, once you've 100%ed your map completion, there's no meaningful reason to drive anywhere when you can just fast travel. Given how pretty the world can be, that's a real shame, so how can we promote open world driving? How about a new job that takes us out of the city and to homes across the map? What about some additional day trip style events or stories, such as sourcing barn find cars for Yuji or helping Larry Chen find more picturesque locations for moto auto shoots? There will almost certainly be more stories to come. We have the Top Gear story in Horizon 4 and the Donut Media story in Horizon 5, so I wonder what collaborative story we'll see in Horizon 6. A few of you had complaints about the map itself, mostly revolving around its lack of driving diversity and that the roads in general feel similar to previous Horizon games. It's a fair critique, and whilst I understand why that's the case from a game design point of view, I do hope we get more road diversity in the forthcoming expansions. With a few changes, the open world could become truly fantastic, but there's still plenty of things to address before it can get there. One critical bug ran rampant from launch right the way up to just a few days ago: losing or corrupting your save file. Neither Xbox nor Playground Games even acknowledged the bug's existence until the likes of Dexerto began to report on it. Thankfully, it is now supposedly fixed, and if you're a PC player and you haven't done this already, head to the Microsoft Store and downloads and ensure you're running the latest updates. Although the bug is now fixed, the fact it took 29 days for such a critical issue to be addressed is absolutely ludicrous, and it's not a good sign for the state of the rest of the game. Speaking of which, Horizon 6 has a number of strange exploits. In multiplayer drift events, some players are somehow forcing themselves into first place and having the session end in under a minute. In multiplayer races, some players are breaking event restrictions or giving their cars extra speed and grip, and there's been more than one money exploit I've seen doing the rounds, with the latest one leading to trillions of exploited credits and Eliminator being disabled for an extended period of time. Seeing that some of these exploits were present in both Forza Motorsport and previous Horizon games, I really hope Playground Games can finally find a way to tackle these issues for good. Beyond that, there's several more frustrating bugs as well. In multiplayer races especially, you can get pixeled quite often, coming to a complete stop when grinding against walls, hitting road furniture, or even crashing into a tree that should be breakable. In certain conditions, you can even fall through the map. This happened to me in Eliminator, and speaking of Eliminator, on more than one occasion it's felt like simulation damage has been turned on out of the blue during a round. Spawning, car swaps, and fast travelling have their issues too, ranging from the mundane like spawning inside a bonus board or cheesing your longest jump stat, to more amusing ones like appearing on top of the vision house or making it past the Legend Island barriers before you've got your gold wristband. Rewinds also feel very inconsistent for drift zones and trailblazers in particular. Sometimes you can rewind just fine, other times it immediately ends your run. I don't mind either way whether we can or can't, I just want it to be consistent. There's some smaller issues worth mentioning. Xbox Game Bar invites sometimes cause bizarre issues with your convoys. Members of the same convoy sometimes get placed into different multiplayer race instances, and tabbing out on PC can switch the displayed inputs to keyboard, requiring a tab out and pause menu dance to fix. There's surely plenty more I've not mentioned, but it's safe to say that there's a laundry list of bugs and exploits that the Playground Games team really need to fix as soon as possible. Before we tackle our last major area, let's have a quick lightning round. Car meets are currently dead. Race locations are still random spots on the map with no evidence of a sign-up point. There's no option for Forza Vista outside of your player houses, you can't control your indicators, there's no filter for photographed cars in your garage, characters look pretty awful, which is really odd coming from the studio that's also currently making the Fable reboot. Many of the voiceovers have terrible direction that utterly wastes the talent of the voice actors. People in the crowd have uncanny faces, never blink, and don't move their legs. There's a number of iconic car manufacturers missing, Bugatti, Citroen, Alpine, even iconic Japanese brands like Suzuki, Daihatsu, Isuzu, and the more niche likes of Mitsuoka. And the lack of a traffic density slider on PC is a real shame. On that last point, Torben stated pre-release that he liked the idea of a traffic slider, but only in the context of Xdxlez, stating that although it was a cool idea, it's not on their roadmap. That is a huge shame. We'll address possible DLC and expansions in a future video, but all I'll say for now is that I really hope they make the most of the Japan setting. Map expansions, brand collaborations, the focus of these expansions, I really hope they take full advantage of the opportunities that having the game set in Japan can offer. With all that said, there's one major area left to go, and it's a big one. One of the biggest complaints, both in the comments and across the wider community, is the lack of customization options. Since the day it was launched, the most voted suggestion on the Horizon 6 feedback portal has been for underglow, closely followed by exhaust customization, interior customization, additional body kits, and more. And with Clutch, an in-development game by ex-Playground game devs set to give us almost all of these things, it's only heightened the frustration felt across the community. With the game's Japan setting, it seems utterly bizarre that we don't have more customization options to play with. Yes, window stickers are great, but so many of the aspects that make Japanese aftermarket car culture what it is are just totally absent. When you have the same generic Forza branded rear wings available on dozens upon dozens of cars, you know they could do better. I really hope they add more depth into these customization options over time, but honestly, I'm not holding my breath. It's not just car customization that's not up to scratch, Xdxlez has arguably taken a big step backwards. There's far less props than before, leading some builders to state that they can't replicate or improve on what they built in Horizon 5. Over to the estates, and there's one addition that would make them far, far better: checkpoint gates. With so many people creating circuits on their estates, it would be great if we could turn them into our own personal time attack circuits. But the fact that we can't do that seriously limits the usability of these tracks that creators are putting so much time and effort into. Adjacent to customization, it's great to see rescans and remodels of popular vehicles such as Nissan GTRs, but there's some notable cars missing. The AE86 appears to be an old model, and there's plenty of cars such as the Porsche Carrera GT that seem to have generic engine sounds. Now, having bespoke rescans and audio sounds for every car in the game would be a massive undertaking, but some of the more egregious examples could really do with some serious attention. In my 100-hour review, I gave Forza Horizon 6 a 9.5 out of 10. I still stand by that. It's a fantastic video game that you'll get hours upon hours of enjoyment from, but let's be clear, there's a long list of ways to make the game better, and if some of these aren't addressed soon, they could seriously harm the long-term success of the game. Let's hope Playground Games can make the changes needed before it's too late. What's the biggest issue you think needs to be fixed in Forza Horizon 6, and is there anything I've missed? Let me know in the comments below. Be sure to like and hype the video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to the channel and ring the bell for all the notifications, and if you want to catch me live, you can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Baffo663. My name is Baffo, and I'll see you next time.